Are you ready to see the super secret 4th stage of Alpine Rescue? In my last development video, eagle-eyed viewers spotted a hint at a 4th mode of Alpine Rescue. Now in the last video we talked about my inspiration for different aspects of the gameplay and art style. We talked about games like Dungeons of Daggerath for the TRS-80 color computer. We talked about Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo. When I was a kid, I was introduced to the Sega Master System by a friend. One of the games he had was Thunderblade, which instantly got my attention because it was about helicopters, and I always liked helicopters. Of course, it was a top-down shooter, and then occasionally it would switch to a nice 3D mode. Sometime later, our arcade had Thunderblade, and I excitedly went over knowing how to play the Master System, and I was shocked at the difference. You could go up and down with the helicopter on that first stage. You could weave kind of almost between the buildings, and the buildings had this nice parallax. And that's it really left an impression with me. So I wanted to have a mode similar to this when you're returning after you've rescued the hiker. And so I started with like a basic 3D wireframe. I tried to make it look like these mountain peaks sticking up above the clouds. And you're dodging the peaks, and you're dodging the birds, and your helicopter can go up and down in altitude and left and right. So I was pretty happy with this, but it was using a lot of cycles, so programmatically it was a little bit costly. And I thought a simpler way would be to use like topographical maps, where you have like lines that represent different heights. Using a topographical style for the mountain peaks, I got a lot of better gains for the processor. And then as you can see, the issue though was that you couldn't tell how high your helicopter was and how low you were. So what I'm doing now is basically I have the lines, the topographical lines at the level of your helicopter are highlighted. So you see the base of the mountains right now are highlighted as my helicopter's really low down. And at this level, you might hit the base of the helicopter, of the mountain. Now then you come up to the medium height, and you can see now one of the birds is highlighted. That bird is flying at that level. And so then you go to the top of the mountain peak. At that level, the top of the peak is highlighted, and the middle bird is now highlighted, because that's the bird you'd have to dodge. At the highest height, the top bird is highlighted, and no peaks are. So you can fly directly over the mountains without injuring your helicopter. So you can go up and down, you can see where you're at. And putting this into gameplay, it worked pretty well. I could tell where the birds were at. My cycles were below 30,000, so we're getting that, as fast of a frame rate as we can get on the Vectrex. So then I decided, let's see what I could do if I just have 2 large mountains. And so using 2 large mountains, we added an extra ring. You can see those coins going down to the bottom, how far they go, and then again, going all the way down, coming up. You can kind of tell where you're at based on which ring of the mountain is highlighted and which birds are highlighted or which coins are highlighted. Going through the different altitudes here, you can see a line of coins going by. And this is all sort of just test art at this point. And then basically now we kind of have something of the actual game where we have coins at different levels, birds at different levels, and things are more randomized a little bit. And so here I'm flying really low. Of course, you wouldn't want to go flying right through a mountain. Basically at this height, you'd have to dodge the highlighted mountain lines, those lines around the mountain. Our cycles per second are way lower now, just because we're only doing 2 mountains and 4 topographical rings. And just a bird or 2 at a time, a coin or 2 at a time. So yeah, we're running like in the low 20s. So that's fantastic. That means I can add more things. Haven't decided what all I will add yet, but certainly we can have more terrain, more creatures and things like that. Ultimately, at the end, you're going to get to the hospital, and it will be like the 3D wireframe where you're going to try to land on the roof of the hospital, and at that point, the screen will kind of freeze, and you're going to zoom down as you're lowering down to the hospital. So that's still to come. And we're up to 4 modes. And that's it for this quick update. I'm encouraged by the progress so far, and I hope you are as well. Looking forward to getting this game released, and stay tuned. There's lots more to come.